Well, good news to share with you guys today. Donald Trump is about to get the ultimate revenge, and it is sending Democrats and the Biden administration in a straight up panic, especially if he takes the presidency in 2024. I've got so much to share with you guys today, and what I have to lay out is something known as Project 2025 that was put together by the Heritage Foundation. And if all goes well in 2024, and Donald Trump becomes the president, or even other Republicans, as you're going to see, this could very well be implemented. And it's going to be a slap down on all this biased and prejudiced and weaponization that we've seen of all these three-letter agencies. I'm absolutely stoked about it. Please don't miss this report. I've got a lot to tell you today. But before I do, just a quick break from my sponsor. Be smart, don't start, kick the habit. Put it out before it puts you out. These are all phrases that we've heard 100 times before, yet we still continue to have bad habits. Now, one of my bad habits is that I love to eat food. If I could eat food 24/7, I absolutely would. This is why I have just taken on my new sponsor, Fume, who is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from these bad habits. What is Fume, you ask? Well, this is Fume, and it's a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. It's a non-electrical device that is actually designed to transform those negative habits. Now, instead of using pods that are potentially filled with harmful chemicals, Fume uses these cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. And all you got to do to try this thing out is go to tryfume.com/Lisa Haven. That's tryfum.com/Lisa Haven. And right now you can get 10% off going to that link. So check it out today. If you want more information, click that more button or click in the description box below. All right, back to the broadcast. So let's dive into Donald Trump's ultimate revenge on the White House and the liberal radical leftists that have been plaguing society and who have literally right now taken over everything from Hollywood to parts of our Justice Department to these three-letter agencies, the FBI, the CIA, the DHS, and the like, and how the Biden administration and the Democrats have been using them for years to do their bidding. Well, Donald Trump, if he wins the presidency, him and even Ron DeSantis and Vivek all promise that they are going to implement these style policies, the 2025 policies that you're about to see. Let's start first with this article from left-leaning Washington Times, because they really give a good look on what this is going to do, and they're scared out of their freaking minds. And it ticks me off because they've been doing the exact same thing for a number of years. But here we go. Recruiting is underway for Trump like a wrecking ball to shrink government and fire federal workers. Amen and amen. With more than a year to go before the 2024 election, a constellation of conservative organizations is preparing for a possible second White House term for Donald Trump, recruiting thousands of Americans to come to Washington on a mission to dismantle the federal government and replace it with a vision closer to his own. Led by the long-established Heritage Foundation think tank and fueled by former Trump administration officials, the far-reaching effort is essentially a government in waiting for the former president's second term or any candidate who aligns with their ideals and can defeat President Biden in 2024. With nearly 1,000 pages, Project 2025 handbook, and an army, they say, of Americans, the idea is to have the civic infrastructure in place on day one to commandeer, reshape, and do away with what Republicans deride as the deep state bureaucracy, in part by firing as many as 50,000 federal workers. Now, Donald Trump is not the only one that has inspired this product. In fact, other candidates have also agreed that they would kind of use these proposals. While many of the Project 2025 proposals are inspired by Trump, they are being echoed by GOP rivals Ron DeSantis and Vivek and are gaining prominence among other Republicans. Now, I just want to show you this article on Huffington Post because, of course, the title of this thing, it's almost as if they want to incite like their side to do something crazy, right? The way that they've got this thing labeled. But I want to show it to you because this is really how the left is painting this entire thing. Same with that Washington Post article, but here it is. Conservatives plot to dismantle the entire United States government and replace it with Trump's vision. A 1,000-page handbook lays out how to fire up to 50,000 workers and staff the federal government with an army of conservatives. First of all, I just want to say this. Those on the left have already dismantled our entire federal government, from our court system to our attorney generals, which, by the way, George Soros has been dumping money through his societies and open societies and getting a lot of these DAs in. And by the way, they've taken over our entire educational system, where these teachers' unions, they've taken over the FBI, the CIA, the DHS, you name the three-letter agency. They are politically biased against conservatives. All this organization, this Project 2025 intends to do is basically revamp these things to make it so neither side, you're not going far left or far right, but if you're pushing these things and basing everything you do based off of your political view, then you need to be fired and let go of. And this is what we have been calling for, because right now we have seen a weaponized FBI, not just against Donald J. Trump. They'll go after the president of the former president of the United States, but they will not touch Joe Biden or his son or Hillary Clinton or any of these other people on the left that have done really bad things. They all get a free pass. But hey, if you're on the right, if you're Michael Flynn, Donald Trump, Roger Stone, or fill in the blank, Steve Bannon, they go after you with the full effect of the law. This is not a fair justice system. The FBI, the CIA, the DHS are all corrupt to the very core, and they are being used not only to go after those on top, but also the average American person. I just read an article the other day about pro-lifers now facing over 11 years in prison for daring to stand up against abortion. I believe it was like 6 of them. Don't quote me on the number, but this was a very recent article. And they are constantly going after pro-lifers while ignoring people on the other side who are pro-abortion, right? This is a very unfair system. And for Huffington Post and all these to say they're going to dismantle the government. No, we're going to fix the government, because right now it is infused with a bunch of radical leftists. It's like you can't get a job with a lot of these agencies if you so much as utter that you have libertarian or more conservative or Republican leaning views. And they have done this under the radar for a number of years. It's about damn time we fix it and we get it right. And in case you want to see this Project 2025, again, this is being put together by the Heritage Foundation. Now, I'm not saying that Trump is going to follow all of this. I don't believe anybody will follow it to the T or anything of that level. It's just kind of here's a transition project. Here's what you can do. And I'll leave it in the description box so you can check it out. But building now for a conservative victory through policy, personnel, and training. And here is kind of about the project: building for a new conservative victory through policy, personnel, and training. It is not enough for conservatives to win election. If we are going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, we need both a governing agenda and the right people in place ready to carry this agenda out on day one of the next conservative administration. The goal of this project, the 2025 Presidential Transition Project, this project is going to build on 4 pillars. Those 4 pillars are a policy agenda, a personnel, a training, and a 180-day playbook. Now, to give you an idea of kind of what it is, what their entire goal here is, they want people to read this book. This is a book, Mandate for Leadership. This is their first agenda, their policy agenda. The second thing is they want a presidential personal database. If you have qualifications in certain areas, here is where you can apply to be considered for a presidential administration. You can submit it through their database, and you can submit your application here for different things that if Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis or a Republican were to take office, they could potentially use this. Then we also have a presidential Administration Academy. This is an educational thing, kind of focusing more on the Constitution and the basic principles. And then we have a 180-day playbook, and this is their 4th part of it. And it's going to create a playbook of actions to be taken in the first 180 days of this whatever administration it is. Bottom line, like I've said before, they have taken over everything. We know when we turn on the TV, we know by acts that we've seen, even with the IRS. Let's remember under Obama, right? The IRS I believe it was Lois Lerner, I may be quoting that wrong, but they went after conservatives, and over 90 some odd percent of the people that they went after were specifically conservative accounts for audits, and more specifically, even after the Tea Party. This happened in the Obama administration. They apologized for it later, and now we have 87,000, a little under that now. Thank you, Republicans. Not really, because they didn't do anything to little to none to change that. But we've got a ton, tens of thousands of more new agents coming into the IRS, which I believe can be weaponized by the Biden administration, just like they've weaponized all these other departments, and just as the Obama administration did before. It is absolutely a terrifying place. Whoever becomes president has to get in, and they have to use and what Donald Trump is going to use, or whoever gets in, they're going to have to use Schedule F, reinstate that and say, hey, now we have the ability to fire thousands within these federal departments. Somebody has to have that ability. And I wish we could get, I don't know, like a Dan Bongino or somebody in the FBI to say, hey, go in there, fix it, get unpolitically motivated, and people who are just willing to base what they do off the Constitution, off of the rights, off of the rules and laws that we have in place currently. That would be nice. So I love the fact that at least we're laying the foundation, and I hope and I pray to God that whoever gets into the presidency changes things radically, because if there are no radical changes, there will be no changes to our country. We will continue to go down a radical leftist path, which leads to a lot of crazy stuff. The arresting of pro-lifers, the arrestings of conservatives, the arresting of fill in the blank. The freedom of speech that we have will be absolutely immediately gone. We now have Democrats, right? And this is a very terrifying thing. But we have Democrats who are all for censoring our speech. They're literally okay with it. They think, oh, in the name of calling it misinformation or malinformation or whatever, or disinformation, we're going to go ahead and silence you. And they absolutely think that's okay. The old school Democrats used to not believe in that. They used to be like, no, because who gets to decide? And today they're all for it. I've never seen anything like it. They are not Democrats. They are not the old school Democrats. The Democrats today are straight up tyrannical communists. Many of them are, not all of them. By the way, there are some good ones in there that don't realize that that's actually what they're voting for. And I think it's those people that we need to start really opening their eyes to this kind of thing, because I think if we can wake them up and say, hey, this is what your party is voting for. This is what your party is pushing for. Here's the evidence. Here's the facts. Now, here's also where your party has been weaponizing agencies like the FBI, the CIA, the DIA. I mean, all of these things. So that's why I'm excited for this Project 2025. And to be honest, it should be the first number one issue of the president, that whoever makes it in president in 2024. Now, God forbid that Joe Biden or a Democrat gets in. And if that's the case, we're really and honestly screwed as a country. Hopefully not. Anyhow, I wanted to bring you good news on that plan. Obviously, I think we've got a lot of work to do. And if not, we could really head into the direction that we've seen, where they could possibly start rounding up their political enemies, which they're already doing at a level. And I believe that there are going to be a lot of Democrats be like, okay, you can go ahead and round them up. And the liberals will be like, yeah, no problem. You know, they have bad ideas, and their bad ideas are causing problems and everything else. And that's really what liberals kind of see us as. They see us as bad people with ideas, and we see them as good people with bad ideas. They just have bad ideas. And so they see us in a completely opposite light. That's why I am fearful for our future, because unfortunately, I think we could see some very gruesome, unfortunate things, because history tells us it has happened it happened under Stalin, it happened under Hitler, it happened under Mao, it's happening in Korea there with Kim Jong-un, it's happening in China. We're not exempt here in the U.S. And if we continue down the path that we're on, I do believe we could see something like that in the United States of America. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.